Okay, so now we are on live. Just 1 second. Let's see the screen on a stage. It has been really hard to do this event today. And okay, perfect. Let's say hi to Igor Minar, team lead from Angular. Hi, Igor. How are you doing?
Hello, hello. I'm good. How is everybody over there?
Oh, one moment. 1 sec. I don't know if. One moment.
Mm-hmm.
1 sec. We have some issues now. Yeah. Love you. Okay. Okay. Here. You don't see anything now. I think that now, let's try now, Igor.
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Fem a l'altre Mac. No podem fer-ho ja amb l'altre. One sec. Sorry.
What was that? I think.
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can. Oh, okay.
Just going to tweet it out.
Canvio de nou. Però dic que canvia. Saps? I que sigui connectat no té res a veure? Yes, it's working here. The audio is working, but what doesn't work is the voice of them.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Now I hear something.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, it's working now.
Angular 4.
Awesome.
Angular 4.
Hey.
Oh yeah. Well, we must say that here with a beer, everything is more easy, and I think that all our members are getting this excitement. So welcome, Igor. Also, I would like to introduce Adam. Hi, Adam.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Fine. Well,
Awesome.
huge stress.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure to have you here in Barcelona in some way, you know.
Yeah, right.
And as well, today we have a pleasure to have Juri from Italy.
Hi,
Who is helping out with all the questions that we have. So right now, Juri, you are the captain. So do whatever you want.
Let's start straight away.
Awesome.
Okay, so first question which we got from one of the community members is, does Angular community or the JavaScript community in general have a problem with working with and fixing existing frameworks or libraries? Like he says, Angular 4 is coming out even before the majority of users have moved to Angular 2.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So I don't think that we have a, okay, we do have a problem. The problem is that the way we currently evolve as a community, as an ecosystem, is not really codified in a good way. So we have all these libraries that are coming out, all these frameworks. They evolve, they make breaking changes, or sometimes not. And the issue we have is that the libraries that don't make breaking changes, they become obsolete within a year. And the libraries that do make breaking changes in an unexpected way just frustrate the users because they don't trust the solution. They don't know when to expect breaking changes. And this is the thing that we're trying to address. With Angular 4, Angular 4 is a backwards compatible release with Angular 2, intentionally so, because we don't want to break the ecosystem. It took us a long time to get to the point where we are today, and we just can't throw all of that away and say, hey, now use Angular 4, it's completely different, and you have to learn from scratch. Instead, what we are doing is we're saying Angular 4 is just a little bit better than Angular 2. There were things that we needed to change. For example, TypeScript. We need to change TypeScript version so that we are not running on the old TypeScript version. And this change might introduce small breaking changes, which means you can't just change the package version and expect everything is just going to work. It might work, and it will be awesome if it does work. But especially in a large project, there might be one or two small things that you will need to tweak to get over that change. And this is something that we want to clearly communicate, and this is something we want to have or do in a predictable way so that people understand when these kinds of changes are happening. So it's not that we're trying to reinvent Angular every 6 months. We just want to say, like, every 6 months, if we do need to make a small tweaks to the solution, we will do so. You will know when it's coming. And you can get ready for it. There will be 1 month for the community to give us feedback and tell us, no, this is too much. This breaks the world. And in that case, we will reconsider and try to find workarounds or just roll back the change we are making. Because very much so, it is important for us to make sure that the Angular community feels that the whole ecosystem is stable. But at the same time, it's evolving so that we don't have another gap like we have right now between Angular 1 and Angular 2. We need to prevent that. And the only way to do that is to set the rules about how we're going to go forward, how we're going to evolve, and not only the framework, but as the whole community.
Sorry. No, ¿qué tal?
Igor?
Yes.
Okay. I guess there was a technical issue, so I guess we can continue. Does it work now? Okay. Yeah, I think another thing which we might probably clarify is why Angular 4. Like, I don't know if people already know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the thing is that what we are trying to do is when we talk about Angular, we should clarify what is Angular. Angular is different things for different people, but when it comes to like the release process, it's a set of packages that the Angular core team is developing and maintaining, and all of these packages, they are in single repository on GitHub. It's the GitHub/Angular/Angular repository. And from this single repository, when we cut a release, we create, I think it's like 8, maybe 10 packages. I am not sure about the exact number. And we push them all together because we know that all of these versions, all of these packages, they work together at this version. This is how Google uses all of these packages. We run a ton of integration tests on all of the applications before we cut a release. So we know that this combination of packages works really well. And that's why we want people to use this combination of versions together. So this is great. We cut the releases together. All of the packages have the same version number, except for Router. Router in the summer, if you follow the development of Angular closely, you probably noticed that we went through 2 or 3 router designs, which caused us to have the router package to be one-off. So while all of the packages that we release are 2.3.1, which we cut yesterday, the router is 3.3.1, one major version off. And this is causing confusion. Like we see it on the issue tracker where people are not sure which versions to use together. So we want to simplify this for people. And this is why we decided that we'll just skip over 3 so that we can align all of the packages to be 4.0. So that's all. We just try to make it simple for people to understand and for all of us to communicate. Because it's hard to communicate when you have Angular 2.3, oh, but the router is 3.3. That just causes confusion. So that's why.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. So another question, which is quite interesting, is also, what is the current state of Angular Universal? Like, do you recommend to use it now? What about its future? How it is going on?
Yeah, Universal is a project that was started by our community members, Patrick JS and Jeff Webley, and they worked closely with us. But over time, it became clear that Universal has become such an important part of the Angular ecosystem that it would be better for the whole ecosystem if the Angular team took the lead on this project. And this is why we talked to Jeff and Patrick, and we suggested that we take over the project. So this is what is we currently is in process. We're taking over the Angular Universal. Of course we welcome the community contributions, but we also want to bring the quality of the project to be comparable to the rest of the packages and the rest of the ecosystem that the Angular core team is responsible for. So what you will see over time, and these things they take not days, but usually a month, 2 months, maybe sometimes 3 quarters. But the Universal is a small project, so hopefully just a few months. What you will see is that the Angular Universal will become a solid part of this release process that we have. Will improve the test coverage and make the solution up to par to all the other packages that we are releasing. But again, please give us some time. We understand that this is very important. We're working on it, but there are only so many hours in the day, so it's coming.
Sure. So what about the mobile strategy then? Because initially the Angular CLI had a mobile flag in it. Mm-hmm. So the question is, what about that mobile flag? Will it come back in the Angular CLI? What in general is the mobile strategy for Angular? Because we have the Angular and React, the native script, Angular and Ionic. So performance-wise.
Yeah, so I can talk for the Angular team, and then maybe Adam could give us the perspective of the Ionic team. So as the Angular team, up until now, we were primarily focused on the core of the framework and setting up the ecosystem so that we can enable solutions like Ionic, like native script, like Onsen, and many others. And now that we feel like the basic foundation is there, of course, there's a lot of improvements that we're going to be making the compiler and the core framework, but we feel like the base layer is pretty solid. We can go and explore more as to how to build progressive web applications in that, for example, which is a very interesting topic, and I think it's going to be a topic of 2017. Right now we're keeping the options open because we don't know what the right solution is. The software development is a very complex area. There are many options and there are many trade-offs to be made. I talk to lots of customers that use Angular, and what I hear is they have different needs. Some people prefer the hybrid approach because they have more flexibility, they have existing skills. Other people like the native script approach because it brings them closer to the native rendering layer. So it really depends on the particular application, the particular team. This is why we are keeping the options right now open. I think this situation will crystallize in 2017, where we have more and more applications being built with Angular, and we have more experience and understand where the gaps, where the strengths and weaknesses of different solutions are. So, but again, this will take some time. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree that there's many different frameworks, different ways to approach this, but all of them are great, right? So I've tested out React Native, NativeScript, all of them. I'm going to try not to be biased, and recommend Ionic all the time. But yeah, I think it's definitely per the team, per the individual and what they're building. And what's cool about really Angular and what we've really taken to it is how it can go to all these different ones. It's not just for the web only, and then Ionic and all the other web-based platforms can then take it to the next step, that they can actually be both native and also be on the web side. So really having Angular at the core of it really helps us out there with the rendering layer and being able to split things apart. And just to plug Ionic, we've been really happy with Angular itself and the performance we've gotten out of it. We just released our RC4 just recently, and hopefully going to be doing our final very soon. But also a big thank you to Igor and Mishko for helping us along all the way. But yeah, just to summarize, I would say it depends on the team. Where Ionic has shined a lot is for the large teams with lots of web developers. That's usually where we hear it from it the most, are enterprise customers, even customers that we know have 800 some apps internally. Imagine maintaining 800 native apps and how difficult that would be versus an Ionic app and the web side of things, and just quickly throwing in a div tag and hitting refresh and it works. So I guess it depends on the use case, but the web is always kind of always one there. So I'm definitely a web guy, as you can guess. So and that said, even Ionic 1. Ionic 1 is a great framework, but it also has limitations, largely being JavaScript scrolling. I would consider that a solved problem now in Ionic 2 and with Angular 2, and I guess now Angular, and the performance we've been able to get out of it through through cool things such as passive event listeners, CSS containment, and wheel change property for animation. So there's been a lot of awesome things added to the platform itself. So it's not even just our Ionic and Angular that have improved, but just the platforms themselves have drastically improved just in 3 years. So yeah, I'd say try them all out, and let us know how it goes. So I recommend trying them all out, actually.
Cool. Yeah, with mobile, there's also always the Angular material in discussion, because I have another question where someone asks, is there a specific reason for the slow progress of the new material projects for Angular 2? Like he says, I believe that the completion of the material project is an important factor for the success of Angular and Angular on the mobile.
Yeah, it cracks me up when people say slow progress, because I see the guys working super hard every day, and it's not easy. So if anything, I would just ask for people to be a little more considerate. So the thing with material is that you can't build this kind of set of rich components while the underlying foundation, the core, is still shifting. And Angular has been shifting until September, so they were in a very hard position to actually build something super solid. They've been trying hard, and it was actually thanks to them and Ionic and other people that were using beta versions of Angular and giving us feedback that Angular got better. But now that Angular is stable, they can fully go on and finish the material design. So I know the material design team is working hard. Actually, we added some more developers to the team, so they have even more horsepower to finish the project. And yeah, we understand this is a critical project. It's coming. It was really difficult to do it sooner.
Okay. Then there's another question. So a lot of people say, like, when there's always this kind of comparison between React and Angular, and one of the main things that often come to be discussed is that many people prefer Angular, prefer the React ecosystem, because they say it is more easily customizable. Like, you have a stack of different kind of tools, and you just take in the tools you require. On the other side, Angular, or Angular 2, 4, and so on, is more like a platform. It's more like a consistent ecosystem, which you take in at all, let's say. And there's some kind of dependency also on that. So
yeah, I think you got the main difference right. Like, it's a different kind of philosophy. With Angular, what we are trying to do is figure out, what does it take to build an awesome application, an application that developers feel great building, but also users feel great using. And it's much more than single library or single tool. You have to have the whole thing kind of integrated together so that it works. And it doesn't mean that all of these solutions have to come from Angular team. But what is important is that there is a way where everything just works and it's easy to start. And I'm not saying that this is where we are already. This is our aspiration, especially with things like the CLI, material design. These are all pieces that are big pieces of the whole puzzle. But our goal is to make sure that if developers use Angular, they have everything they need to be successful. And there are many teams out there that they're asking for this. And again, like, it comes to differences in people. There are people that want to learn French, and there are people who want to learn German, and they have very different languages, and they have their own reasons for this, maybe cultural, maybe professional reasons. It's okay for us to have different solutions. And what we should, however, do is allow people to use their preferences to make the decisions.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that, like with Iona, we've got 40 or 50 some components. And it's one thing to build a component and make a checkbox be pretty and everything. It's another thing to have it part of the entire application. And I think that's really where Angular shines, is that it kind of brings it all together. It's not just one component that has a true and false Boolean, but when you put it into the large ecosystem and you've got 20 some developers on a project that all need to understand the same process of how things happen. It's not just like let's onesie and twosie things together and kind of teach this, Bob's his own little folder structure of how he put things together. Angular kind of provides that structure of how a large application would be built, something that could be maintained for years. And so that's kind of where I've personally enjoyed Angular and Angular 1 and how it was able to kind of provide that structure of this is how you build a really large scale application. But again, React is just as successful too, and so it's up to preference of how you want to piece the things together.
Yeah. And, it doesn't necessarily have to be large application, because today, if you want to build a modern application, mobile with PWA, service worker, and pre-rendering, there are so many moving pieces that you need to get just right to build even small applications. And having a solution that just brings everything together so that you can just start a project, build it, and deploy it within an hour or a few hours, that's super powerful.
Yeah, I always like to compare it to iOS or Android, where the web kind of gets an unfair, I guess, comparison, because the web is very generic. It's like Objective-C or Java. It kind of doesn't provide much of anything other than divs and some JavaScript. Whereas iOS and Android are kind of that layer on top of it, where they provide the buttons, they provide the how stuff has rounded corners, the colors, how you have transitions go in and out. So there's lots of things that iOS and Android is providing, which the web isn't. And so Angular is kind of that same thing, where it helps you build an application. It's not just JavaScript and here you go, figure it out on your own. Because people kind of want to build their application. They don't want to worry about how to build applications.
Yeah, sure.
But we do have to recognize, there are people who want to have full control over the whole stack, and that's fine, we shouldn't say that that's everybody, because it's not.
Yeah, definitely. So there are a lot of questions, but I think some very interesting ones are regarding the whole compilation thing in Angular, like when you compile your application to make it ready for production, which is quite an important part in the new Angular version. And Juri asks here, do you think that sooner or later Bazel rules for building Angular projects will be open sourced?
Interesting question. So I think we have to give a little more context. Bazel is an open source version of a build system that is used at Google. And if you want to know more about this, you just search, use Google, or watch my NGB presentation from last week, the keynote I gave, where I kind of mentioned how we built software at Google. But it's a tool that we use internally. It's nothing like Webpack or anything out there. It's kind of not trivial to get started with, and the question is about, we already have integration with Angular and TypeScript inside of Google. Is this going to be open sourced? I can't speak for the people who work on this stuff, but I know that there is a definitely interest in doing so. Maybe in 2017, we'll see. It's really just finding the time to do this and finding enough interest in the community for this kind of solution, because it is very different from what people are used to. So maybe that's the short answer.
Yeah, and somewhat related to this question, there is also there was once mentioned that you are trying to make the Clojure compiler work with Angular. Is this something that is on the roadmap, or like integrate into Angular CLI?
Maybe. Again, this is a hard question. So Clojure compiler is something that all of the Google projects use to minify the JavaScript and TypeScript code that we write at Google. It's a very advanced tool. It's also very hard to use, especially if you don't have all of this machinery integration that we already have at Google. So there is interest, and I see the interest in this kind of solution growing. Maybe Adam could talk, because I know that Adam is working with some people from our team on using Clojure for Ionic.
Yeah, so the way I like to see it now is like with the Ionic CLI, you can get up and running quickly. You can build an application. It's going to use rollup. It's going to use Uglify, and things are just going to work. And that's something that's very vital, that things just work from the go. But that said, Clojure is probably the superior bundler and minifier. It's got the fastest execution. It's able to do property renaming, as in it really shrinks down the file size as small as possible. So we're kind of taking the stance that Rollup, Uglify, they do a great job. They'll get you up and running quickly. But if you really, really want to have that 26 kilobyte Hello World application built, then you need to figure out how Clojure works. And so that's kind of the stance we're taking. Or we really want, not taking, but we really want to push forward. And I think as people are building applications and they put in all these thousands of hours of work into it, I think they can put in that last, figuring out what are the tricks to really get this, tiny file size. And again, like Igor was saying, for 2017 and moving forward, progressive web apps are huge for the web, huge for Ionic and Angular, in that we can have these tiny file sizes. We can have these applications that just rival native easily by how fast it can start up. And one way to do that is with Clojure, and it's and everything that comes behind it. So yeah, it is a Java dependency. But again, it's if that's not for you, then Uglify and Rollup and Webpack really work great too.
Okay, I see. How would such an integration, however, look like? Like if you plan to move forward like with Angular, how would that integration with the Clojure compiler build look? Would we be integrated into the Angular CLI, or?
I imagine so. I mean, it's hard to speculate, but if we were to figure out all of the blocking issues that we're facing right now, because really the blocking issues come to the fact that if you have a third-party library that is not ClojureWare, and you have a build tool that is not ClojureWare, then you will have a really hard time. And it's going to take, it's easy for us to use Clojure at Google, because Google is a very controlled ecosystem. We know which libraries engineers can use, and we can control everything. Whereas on the web, if we just throw Clojure compiler out there, most of the solutions are not compatible with Clojure, so people are going to have a really hard time.
Right. Yeah, and I should have added that. Is that what we were planning on doing, or what we are doing is, Angular we know works with Clojure. Ionic is going to be built to work with Clojure. So the largest chunk of the application would be as small as you can possibly get it, and then make it very easy to have kind of a second bundle of ones that can just minify well, but not try to do the advanced optimizations. And I think that's kind of the sweet spot between a good compromise to, because really the largest part is going to be Angular and Ionic. So
okay. And then another big thing is also with Angular, the AOT compilation. And there's another question where someone says, do you plan to do something to simplify using AOT? And if so, what are the plans more or less for simplifying it?
For us, AOT is something that we want people to use by default all the time. It's not something that we can do right now, because the analysis and sorry, let me step back. The big goal with AOT is to make it possible to build applications that run really, really fast at runtime, and that load fast, and all of this stuff. But at the same time, we need to make sure that developers have this very interactive, very fast experience when building the applications. And this is where the AOT is not there yet. The compilation takes too long right now. we are working on fixing this. We Tobias and other people on the team, they're working super hard to make sure that the AOT is as fast, so that we can make it the default option in Angular CLI. So when you use CLI, even in the dev mode with the dev server, you will use AOT. This will take a long time, and this is like probably 2017 goal. In the meantime, we're doing other things. We just released language service, a package for integration with IDEs, and this gives IDEs hooks to talk to Angular projects and gets the same kind of warnings and diagnostics and eventually refactoring and other things that the compiler gives you when you do the AOT compilation. So our goal there is to surface all of the AOT issues in the IDEs directly. So as you're authoring the code, you don't even need to compile the project, and you will see, oh, this is not going to work in AOT, or whatever it is, like you made a typo, we'll tell you in the IDE without you even having to compile something. So there are other things that are happening, but the sum of this is, like, our goal is to make AOT the mode that people use all the time, and this will make developers more productive, but also the application runtime will make much faster.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. And another thing is also, because you were just speaking about the fast development cycles, which developers like during development, while they're coding, basically, there's also the discussion about hot module replacement. So is this something this will be integrated, or are there good news for hot module replacement with Angular?
It's something we're exploring. I honestly don't know what the priority for this particular item is. I know that I would love to have it, but the first thing we need to do is to make sure that the CLI is stable and we can release a stable version. So I would suspect that we'll sacrifice hot module reloading in order to get the CLI stable version out sooner. And then in 2017 and early 2017, this would be the next priority. But again, maybe Hans and Mike and other people working on the CLI have other ideas, so I don't want to speak for them, but this is my current feeling about the state of things.
Awesome, cool. And yeah, we come to the end. The last question. Could we expect new members on the core team hired by Google after the leavings recently?
Oh, yeah, so we lost two members. We lost Victor Sapkin and Jeff Cross, who decided that they will start a company to do Angular consulting. So they're not leaving the Angular ecosystem. They want to help with enterprise support and many other things. And yes, we are looking to hire more people. We have some people already in the pipeline. And it's looking good, so stay tuned, and maybe you'll see some new faces, or maybe some old faces that you already recognize. You'll see.
Awesome. Okay, so let me pick another one.
Now you're one off. You said that was the last one.
Yeah, Dave asked me to ask another one. So what are your thoughts on the current state of the router? So in general, after those 3 iterations now, I guess.
I think what we have is a really solid solution. I talked to many people, and I'm getting really good feedback. I know that there are still a few small things that need to be resolved, and like no software is done, so things will keep on evolving. But we feel like we really nailed it, and even though it was painful to go through the 3 versions of router, the one we have right now, we feel really good about. Maybe Adam could also give some.
Yeah. I tried to stay aligned with the router for a little while there. But yeah, so just those that use Ionic right now, you might realize we've got like a deep linking system, which is a little bit different. But that was really only as a intermediate area. So now that like the router has stabilized, and it's got the cool stuff like code splitting and being able to split out the packages, that's pretty huge especially for progressive web apps. So I was part of like kind of the original. What's that?
I just wanted to intercept here. Are the router basically from Ionic and Angular 2 router or Angular 4 router now synchronized basically? So are
from
they
Ionic? No, not yet. Not yet. But that is that's on our roadmap, is to synchronize them now that it has stabilized, and we love it. It looks cool. It's got everything that we need in it. Like just as a quick history lesson with Ionic 1, we used UI router. And that was very difficult. It worked okay. It worked. It did the trick. But when we wanted to try doing some advanced stuff, is where we really got our hands tied. But with like the most recent, what we're seeing in Ionic or Angular 2 right now, Angular router, that's where we're ready to start using that. So to be done.
Awesome. Okay, thank you guys. So I'm giving the word to David.
Thanks.
Hi there. Whoa, welcome. I'm on stage again. Thanks, Igor. We had some issues and it was not possible to have you all here. And I would like, Igor, first, that you see the huge community that we have here. And also it's a big applause to all of you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
It's possible to see the camera? One moment. Now.
Oh, yeah, we can see. Yes. Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Well, also, thanks, Adam. Thanks, Ionic, for your video that you have done for us, for AngularBeers. We really appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you.
And, well, also, Juri, for being the first connection, for helping out and doing this hangout with us. Also, I hope that you join us for Angular Camp. It's
yeah, sure.
It's the first official invitation, so
Thank you.
And at least it's Igor. I would like first to thank you that you take care. That's one of the things that we like from the Angular community. AngularBeers, it's really small. We are just trying our best. We are not a big company. And just that Igor takes your time to share your knowledge with this community that it's really small, but we do with a lot of love. So not just today that it's special for us, that it's our last meetup, is that also it's your birthday, right?
Yes.
So I will just, all of you say, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Igor. Thanks.
Thank you, thanks.
Have a lovely day, Igor.
Yeah.
Hope that you have with your loved ones. I hope also that you remember this moment with the beers and the problems that we had together. And I hope that as well we can, at some point, meet all together here in Barcelona one time.
Okay, maybe.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye, Ben. Bye.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.